Good morning, everyone. Good morning from Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the FRIAR classes in every city. End-to-end data analytics with Microsoft Advanced Learning Track Day 2. Yeah, welcome to class again. If you're excited to be in class today, let me see your ears in the chat. Let's introduce ourselves in the chat. Let's do our roll call. Welcome, Tani. Tani has been joining the classes since day one. It's so good to have you here again, Tani. Welcome to class. Welcome, Nkechika from Usuka. Welcome Aduku from DSN Ibadan. Happy to be here. Welcome Joseph. Welcome Oluremi. Welcome Oluwakemi. Welcome God's will. Good morning, everyone. Please confirm you can hear me clearly and you can see my screen. Oluremi is excited to be here. Awesome. Ben from Malaysia. Wow. Good morning. Good morning. Tani can see my screen. Good. So we can fire on. Welcome to the end-to-end data analytics with Microsoft Fabrics Day 2. We're here again to learn new things. It's always a good time, catching up and learning because that's why the community is created in the first place. The community is created for interaction and to upskill ourselves. And that's what we're going to be doing today. Very quickly, because of our new committee members who are just joining the call, we are going to be introducing them to DSN so that they can quickly be brought up to speed on what we do at DSN. So I will talk about the Data Science Nigeria as an organization and then as a community. Then I will say a few things about the journey to the boot camp. Then I'll bring on our speaker who is already on the call and she's ready for us today to take our hand. On this journey of learning Microsoft Fabric for end-to-end data analytics. Yes, so our commitment remains to raise 1 million AI talent and build AI solutions that improve the quality of life and well-being of 2 billion people in the emerging market. This has been our vision and mission for a long while, and we are not changing it. Yeah, so when you are hearing about DSN, whenever you hear DSN, just know that we're talking about those five things. We talk about community development, we talk about research, we talk about capacity building, we talk about ecosystem development, we talk about consulting and product development. Those are the pillars of DSN. This is what DSN is built on. And talking about the foundation of DSN itself, we talk about the community. The community is the bedrock of data science Nigeria. And this speaks to our how we've grown over the years. We have a learning reach in over 96 countries. Yeah. We've actually expanded outside of Nigeria as a country. We are also currently in over four countries in Africa. And even outside of Africa, we are there. You always see the DSM presence everywhere. And this is how the community has been categorized. This is how the community has been segmented so that we can all belong to a part of the community. We have the campus community, we have the city communities, we have the ladies in AI, we have the kids and teens, we have the AI for schools, we have the AI researchers, we have the partners and ops. So there is something for everybody in the community. There is a place for you to belong. So you are not too old and that we are not too young to be a DSN member. And quickly, I'll be speaking to why you should be a DSNer. Yeah, so it's not just attending meetings, it's not just joining our events. You need to be a DSN member because there are a lot of opportunities you can benefit from that you can enjoy as a DSN community member. Number one, that top seat is mentorship opportunities. Like I do say every time in this life, we're not meant to be stressed out. People have passed through whatever you are passing through, and that's why it's always good for everybody to key into mentorship. Yes, people have already passed through anything you may be passing through in this life. So there's a need for you to get a mentor who's going to guide you on how to, navigate this life. And so that is one thing that we make available for our committee members, which is mentorship opportunities for our committee members to be able to navigate this tech world, this tech life. It's a very, yeah, it can be difficult sometimes. So provide this mentorship opportunity for all our committee members. So access to premium training, content and facility is also another thing that we do. This is why we're here today to learn new things, to pick up new skill. So that is we call it access to premium training, content and facility. The third one is the research support and collaboration. DSN is very keen on research because we believe you can do a lot with research. You can solve problems that are facing, every sector of the world. You can create an idea. You can create what we call a problem statement, and then create a solution that we solve the problem. So that is why we're heavy on research. We make sure that we do a lot of research work here at DSN, and then we can convert our research into a product. Just a few months ago, we had a DSN research masterclass that spanned through for a whole month. Yeah, we're so intentional about making sure that all our committee members don't just pass through. I mean, you create an impact, and that's how you're able to create an impact is by coming up with a solution that solves day-to-day problem. And then we have a certificate of participation for all our community members who are active throughout the community, I mean, throughout the year. So we issue out a certificate of participation to acknowledge the fact that, oh, you've actually passed through our training, and yes, you are fit for every skill that we've trained you on. And this is a QR code to become a DSM member. We're going to be sharing these links in the chat. My colleagues are also on Discord, and they'll be sharing all useful links as I go on. Presenting. So we have our community ambassadors, and then we have the communities that they manage. So we make sure, I mean, how we've been able to have an expanding community is because we've created sub-communities. We've created sub-communities such that you have a community nearby you. You have a community that is, I mean, at your own doorstep. So once you scan this code, you are going to see the list of all the communities that we have at Data Science Nigeria, and then you can key into the community that is nearby you. I mean, the one that you can easily access. And this is our hardware learning calendar. This is what we follow day in, day out. From January to December, you can see there is actually a whole lot. January, we did mentorship. In February, it was another mentorship session. And then in March, we did research event and masterclass. It was a 1 month long event. And in May like this, we are currently doing the free class. So you can see the journey. And so this is for you to actually follow through. I mean, you need to get this thing so that you can follow through as we churn out all these activities of this year. And this is the QR code for you to scan the annual learning calendar if you don't have it yet. And we have a repository that contains over 25,000 learning content. I repeat, over 25,000 learning content. Talk of anything on data engineering, data science, AI. Just tell us what you want to, I mean, what you need to learn on. And you check this knowledge box, you are going to find it there. And the exciting part about this knowledge box is that we are updating it because it's now an online repository. So all you need to do is just to scan this QR code, and then it takes you to the knowledge box. Yeah, so the journey to the boot camp, the journey to the boot camp, and the journey to the boot camp. The journey to the boot camp has actually started with the free class in everything, which we are currently, on. Just started in May. Some of us have actually been part of the free classes since week one, and this is the fourth week, which is the final week of our virtual learning. And in the month of June and July, we're going to be having physical meetup across all our communities. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be sharing something with us even during this meeting for you to be able to key into physical meetup that will be happening in your nearby community. So this is the journey to the boot camp. You can see we are still in May. So next month is going to be our free classes hackathon and project participation. The registration has started also. I'm going to be sharing you something on it so that you can key into it. So we have our 30-day pre-boot camp to final selection, and then the AI bootcamp itself, which will be happening in October. Yeah, for some of us that have been part of AI bootcamp, yes, they can testify to why you need to be part of bootcamp. So these are pictures from our previous AI class in every city, and this is bootcamp itself. Bootcamp is an all expense paid event that will run annually at DSN. We bring in best of the best talent, and I mean, you have to get in through a competition. Yeah, you have to get it through a competition. So it's not just, oh, you are invited to attend bootcamp. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to go through that journey of free eye classes, participate in the hackathon and project participation, and then you end up in the bootcamp. So you can see pictures and more pictures from bootcamp. It's always an exciting time because this is we're able to always connect with our community members. I mean, on the very last, you can see these are poster sessions from the bootcamp because it's not only about learning the technical side. We make sure that we also showcase best research papers that our committee members are writing. And so this is free class again. This is just to refresh our memory. It's actually been a journey. We can say we started with data storytelling and visualization in the first week. Then the second week was Python for data science and machine learning. And then the third week is introduction to prompt engineering. And then we are currently in the week of Microsoft Fabrics for data analytics. And we are going to be moving on to hackathon and project participation. So it's not ending anytime soon. It's a journey that you need to go through. And I'm excited to tell you that all the virtual live session videos, I mean the recorded sessions are available on our DSN YouTube channel. So if you missed any part of this rare classes, all you need to do is just to go to our DSN YouTube channel and you will see previous learning content. And this is the QR code to scan to participate in the physical meetup that will be happening across the country. So I'm going to be leaving this for the 10 seconds for us to scan. And we're also going to be sharing the link during the meeting as this session continues. So very important for you to register for I mean, it's very important to confirm your attendance if you want to attend the physical meetup. So it's going to be happening in the month of June and July across our cities and communities. So this is also the link. I mean, this is a campaign for our free classes hackathon and project participation. Like we said, the journey does not end in just learning. You need to actually practicalize what you've learned. And one way to practicalize what you learned is through, I mean, it's by participating in the hackathon and project participation. Yeah, so we move on to we move on to the learning session while we're here today. And just like I said, I'm excited to inform also that our facilitator, who took us on Monday, she's already on the call. And yeah, she's going to do justice as usual. And I believe I want to believe we're all ready now. I mean, you've gotten your jotter, you've gotten your writing material, and we are ready for this class. I'm Then please confirm you can hear me and you are ready for us.
Hello, good morning. Please, can you confirm that? All right, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for that warm introduction. I'm sure that you're already prepared for the another session that we're going to have today. So if you have questions, if you have challenges, don't hesitate to reach out. So once again, I'm gonna be introducing myself. My name is Mbotidem Awak, and on this call, we're going to be learning about Microsoft Fabric. What exactly is Microsoft Fabric? Yeah, and also confirm that you can see my screen. Yeah, so once again, welcome to this awesome session. And we're going to be talking about end-to-end analytics solution with Microsoft Fabric. For today, we're going to be handling two topics, and I'm also going to be as fast as possible to try to cover up some key topics we should know. Like in the previous session, we were asking why we didn't work with Python. So I'm going to be starting. So we're going to be seeing how to work with Python. That's for the data engineering part of it, a bit data science. And we are also going to be working with how to implement security in our warehouse. So we are going to be taking these two topics at the same time. So I'm going to be self-conscious. So pardon me if I'm going to be a bit speed up. It's actually a recorded session. And after the class, you can as well go ahead to, replicate what I've done. So our agenda, so we started off by talking about Microsoft Fabric, One Leg, and I also showed us Power BI semantic models where we visualized, that was on our first session, which was on Monday. So we visualized that data. So for today, we are also going to be looking at data science, where we are going to be working with Apache Spark. Moving on, I'm going to start off by saying that for today's session, we're going to see how to miss something. Okay, for today, we are going to see how to implement. We're going to see how to implement security in our data. So let's say you're working let's just say you're working in a particular sector. So we are going to be learning how to implement security in our data warehouse. And this is where row level security, column level security, and dynamic data masking comes in handy. What is dynamic data masking? I'm going to be starting out with that question. Dynamic data masking, yeah, please you just confirm. Yeah, I know people said you can see my slide. Just confirm you can see my slide. Okay, thank you very much. You can see my slide. So for dynamic data masking is a data protection feature that prevents unauthorized is a data protection feature that prevents unauthorized viewing of sensitive data. Let me take this below. That prevents unauthorized viewing of sensitive data from people, like, should I say, okay, yeah, sorry for the distraction. Dynamic data masking is a data protection feature that prevents unauthorized access to your data. For example, like let me just say it limits the amount of sensitive data that you expose to individuals, that that you expose to individuals. So if you look at my example below, I have account number and I also have maxed account number. And I want to make emphasis on this, that even if we authorize dynamic data masking, it doesn't change the data itself. That doesn't change the data itself in the database. So if you look at my example below, you can see that I have account number and the maxed account number you can see is maxed with an XXXXX. So you could see it doesn't change the data itself in the database. It only limits the amount of sensitive data you expose to individuals. So another example I can also go ahead to say is, for example, you can have your card PIN, right? You aside your bank account, you can have on your ATM card, you have a card PIN, the cards, those PAN, yeah, they call it PAN digits. So it also helps you prevent, oh, I don't want to expose all these numbers to individuals that may not need to see, or that they may not need to see this data. So it's a data protection feature that limits the amount of sensitive data you expose to individual. And another thing I've pointed out that the data in the database doesn't change itself. It's just like you adding a blur to your account number. So you could say, for example, I have XXXXX. So I don't know if I really, really made justice to that. And we're also going to I would have loved us to walk alongside with it, but I think I'm going to go through the first session. Like I said, for today, we are going to be running the session, the implementing security and the data science aspect of it. So I'm going to run through the first session for the security aspect. So when we go to the demo, we would see we will see everything for it instead of alternating my screen. So moving forward, I'm going to briefly talk about the different types of dynamic data masking. I'm going to talk about the different types of dynamic data masking. we have the default dynamic data maxing, we have the emails, we have the randoms, we have the forecast. So we're also going to be seeing a lot of demonstration. We're also going to be seeing, when we talk of default, this is full maxing according to the data types of a designated field. And data types are basically a representation of what you have in your column. So for this default, we are going to be working with a string data. So a string data refers to text, like varchar, end varchar, var, and so on and so forth. So varchar is varying character, and we're also going to be working with numeric columns. So numeric columns, we could refer as to integers, floats, decimals, and so on and so forth. And another type of default feature we'll also be working with, we're going to be working with a date time column. How do we apply masking to a date time column? That's what we're also going to be working with. So another type of, like I said, that different 4 types. So the ones I listed falls under the category of default. So I'm just going to retreat. I'm just going to do a quick recap on that. So for default has to do with, this is like full masking according to your data types. So data types are a representation of what you have in your columns. So for a default field, we have subcategories like string data types. So string are basically text. There are just like, should I say like, oh, it's country, those are text. And we also have for a numeric data column. So for integers, for floats, for decimals, and so on, booleans, and so on. Another type of default we're also going to be looking at is going to be a date and time, for a date and time field. That's another type of default we are going to be looking at. So after a date and time field, another type to look at is going to be the binary field. So under default, we have subcategories in the default. So I moved on to the next one, which is the email masking. So for the email masking, it is a masking method that exposes the first letter of an email address and the constant suffix .com in form of an email address. I don't think I have any picture here. So for if let's say okay, when we'll be going to the practical aspect, you also get to see a lot of things interestingly. So you could see that it's going to review only the first letter. So for example, my name is mbotidem@gmail.com. Let's say for an example, it's going to expose only Mbotidem, which is the first letter N. It's going to expose only the first letter N. It's going to include XXXXX at XXX, that's the suffix .com. And we moved on to the next one, which is a random one. So this one is where you are going to assign random for any numeric type to match the original value with just a random value. So you are going to specify a range. Okay, start from 20,000 to 100,000. So this is random masking. And we also have another feature, which is what we call the forecast. Another type of mask is the forecast, which exposes the first and last letters and add a custom padding string in the middle. So we are going to have something like the prefix, we have padding, and we're also going to have the suffix. So it also means that if the original value is too short to complete the entire max, part of the prefix or suffix would not be exposed. Yeah. Okay, before I do a quick knowledge check for those of us just joining, for today, we're going to be taking 2 sessions, which is going to be the how to implement security in our database, and we are going to be working with Apache Spark in Microsoft Fabric, which is the data science part of it. So please, I think confirm that you can hear me. I can't hear from my audio. Oh, yes, you can hear me. Thank you very much. Awesome. I think I just had to. Yes, thank you very much. So we have done justice to that. And the next one, we have talked about dynamic data masking. We have talked about the different types of marks. The next thing we're going to be looking at, I just want us to do a quick knowledge check. So we are going to ask the question, which of the following users can see unmasked data in Microsoft Fabric? A, users with select permission. B, users with a login. C, users with unmasked privilege. Oh, awesome, users with unmasked privilege. So this is also where different types of roles in Fabric comes in. We have the admin role, we have the members role, contributors role, and we have the viewers role. So for roles, members that has the roles for admin, members, and contributors, they will be able to unmask our data that is masked. So it's only for roles with viewer role they cannot unmask our data. Yeah, so that's explanatory enough. I'm going to move on to the next one, which is the role level security. Just like the name implies, role level security. So role level security is a feature that limits the data exposure of non-privileged users by obscuring sensitive information. Let's say you're working in an hospital, or what should I say? Okay, let's just say you're working in an organization that have different departments. We have sales department, we have HR department, we have finance department, and so on. So you implement a role level security in the database. You don't want people in the sales department. Okay, you only want people in the sales department to see only data relating to their roles. So I've established a role level security that prevents you having access to all the roles in my data. You can only see roles. You can only see roles pertaining to your department. So let me say I'm in the finance department. I can only see roles pertaining to finance. Or I'm in the sales department. I can only see roles pertaining to sales. I cannot see all the roles in this department. So each of these departments is pertinent to my own. Each of these departments is pertinent to my own. Each of these roles is pertinent to my own department. So I hope that's explanatory enough. And okay, so moving forward, we are also going to be looking at column level security. So just like the name implies, column level. So column level, this actually is column level security is a security feature that limits data exposures to non-privileged users by obscuring sensitive information. So what do I mean by that? Let's say, for an example, I'm working on a particular column in my database. I'm working in, let me just say, I'm an health analyst. Yes. So I'm working on a particular data that helps that has patient records. So I want to limit this record to other users. I don't want them to see this particular, I don't want them to see this particular column. Yeah, so I don't want them to see a particular column in my data, which is what the health, which is the chart, there's the medical record of people in the hospital. So I don't want them to have access to these rules, and I'm going to try to conceal this information, or I'm going to try to restrict the users access to this information. I can also be working in another department, let's say finance department, the column is salary. So I want to authorize you access to columns, but not necessarily all the columns in that data. Not necessarily all the columns in that data. So within the database. So I'm restricting columns. I'm restricting you access to have I'm restricting you access to these particular columns, like medical records. Like, medical record is actually very sensitive information. People's, let's say, login digits, account details, they are very sensitive information. Or I could also say salary, age, and so on. So I don't want you to see information relating to this column. You can have access to other columns, but not this particular column, and that is what we are going to be seeing. So let's do a quick knowledge check, and we're going to move into the demo session. On the column level security is used to filter rows based on users, control access to specific columns in a table, marks data with random values. Yeah, that's correct. Thank you, Adewale. Thank you very much for that. Awesome. That's correct. And we also have the next one. Which of the following best describe row level security in a database system? Yeah, awesome, Felicia. Thank you very much. Awesome. I've seen praise, I've seen your comments. Yeah, so it actually means that you are following what we are doing. So let's move to the demo before we come back. Remember, we have another topic before we come back to Apache Spark in Microsoft Fabric. So let's go for a demo. Yeah, so please kindly confirm that you can see my screen. Yeah, you can see my screen. Okay, yeah, so thank you very much. So for the sake of those that did not join our first class, I didn't want to go ahead to create a warehouse. So you already know how to create a lake house. So the same method you use to create a lake house is the same method you can use to create a warehouse. So remember, create your workspace. When you create your workspace, so this is what we did on our first class, which was on Monday. So for today, we are going to be working with a warehouse. So for a warehouse stores structured data compared to a lake house that stores semi-structured, unstructured, and structured data. So on my DSN space, you can see on my screen, I'm going to say new item. For new item, I'm going to quickly use my filter to search for warehouse. So on my warehouse, I'm going to be working alongside with this. I'm going to be selecting my warehouse. So I'm just going to give my warehouse a name. I'm going to say, let's say DSN where. We're going to leave it at DSN where. I'm going to create any name of your choice is optional. Any name you want to give your warehouse, you can give your warehouse. So this is my warehouse. On my warehouse, you can see at the top right corner, we have the home tab, the reporting tab. On my warehouse, we have my home tab. So this is how a structure of my warehouse look like. This is my Canva, my new data flow gen 2, data pipeline, sample data. So if you want to start developing, you can go with any of those. And on my ribbons, I have my get data, new SQL query, SQL templates, and so on and so forth. So we are not going to be working with that. We are going to be creating a data warehouse. So this is my data warehouse. So we are going to start right up, and I'm going to start by creating a schema. So this is my new SQL query, new SQL query. We saw how to use a visual query. So this is, you want to go with the templates and so on and so forth. So we're going to be starting with our new SQL query. So for my new SQL query, I'm going to be creating a schema in my SQL query. I'm going to be creating a schema. Oh, I'm seeing a question. How can you navigate to the Fabric page? So for Fabric, this is the page app period Fabric. Let me have this highlighted, app period fabric.com. So if you have a developer account, you can also be working alongside. So let me just leave that on the chat menu. So if you have a developer account, some of us joined today, so you can be working alongside. So moving forward, we are going to be creating our schemas and our data. So for my schema, I want to bring in my table. So I'm going to say, just to save time, I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste this so I can also give you access to the data after this session. So create table, this is the table I want to create. But before then, so this is a table I want to create in my DPO schema. So this is my schema. I'm saying create this table for me. And this is we have on my, okay, let's run this. So I have this executed. Just give that a minute. So this has been executed successfully. So you could see my SQL query here is actually here. So I'm going to go to new SQL query. I want to query this in my data. I'm going to say select high streak from, I think it was customers, right? So let me go to my DBO, my table. Oh, I don't have anything yet. So if I should refresh, so whenever you don't have anything on your table, so if I use this drop down and you don't have anything, you can quickly come to this refresh icon. So let me refresh my icons. Let me switch back here. Remember that I've run this query and I'm supposed to see my table. So since that is not displaying, I'm going to just quickly refresh and you're going to see my table. So my table should be right in here. So this is where I'm going to select everything to see what we have on my tables. Going to say customer. So this is my table. So if I have this executed, so this is my tables, my gender column. You can see my gender, you can see my name, you can see my credit card, my phone, my email, my birth date, salary, and so on and so forth. So we're going to be implementing dynamic data masking. We're also going to start out with the different defaults, like the default, we have the emails, we have the random, and we have the forecast. We're also going to be looking at the subsections of defaults which offer full masking. So we're going to be looking at the string, we're going to be looking at the numeric, we're going to be looking at the date and time. Another thing, I will also make a reference to, you could see I have two fabric items open right here. So this is good. This is my main, so this is the admin view. Like I've talked about roles in Fabric. This is my admin view, and this is going to be my testing account. So this is going to be my testing account. And you can see my testing account is empty. So you're also going to see how to grant access to my testing account. So this is my testing account. My testing account is using a different developer's account name. So that's a different user. And as me as an admin, I'm also using a different user. So quickly, you could see I've extracted all my columns, and we are going to start out by implementing dynamic data masking. So I'm going to use this for NewSQL. I'm going to say for dynamic data masking, okay, I'm going to say alter. Okay, I think before I do that, let's try to grant access to our testing account. So for me to be able to grant access to for me to be able to grant access from my admin account to this testing account, you can see I'm hovering around two fabric items. So I'm going to switch back to my workspace. I'm going to switch back to my workspace. And on my workspace, I'm going to check this a bit here. So this is a workspace I created today. So this is my DSN workspace. On my DSN workspace, I'm going to share this workspace. You could see I'm going to share this. Let's go back over that again. So for this workspace, just so my testing account can also, you see this is empty. There's nothing, it's just an empty workspace. So this is not part of it. So you could see if I go to my workspace, this is only my workspace. I don't have any other workspace in this testing account. So I'm going to switch back to my admin view. I'm going to share. I'm going to click on these three ellipses. So on the three ellipses, let me take this up. A minute. On my three ellipses, you're going to see share. So yeah, so this is share. So when I share, I'm just going to untick this. I don't need to notify. I'm going to type in my role. That's people within my organization. So I'm going to say MB test. I'm going to search for. So this is going to be my testing account. So MB test account, and I'm going to say I'm granting this user access to my warehouse. Rather, I'm granting this user access to my workspace. So I'm just going to click on grant. So another thing we are going to make emphasis to is I'm going to say manage access. So for manage access, I'm going to also search for my MB test. Okay, I'm going to go to add people or group, and I'm going to search for the email MB test account. So when I see if I should, you see some account is invalid. So if I should search for MB test, you're going to see this is my account. And it's going to ask me, do you want to grant MB an admin role? Do you want to grant me a member role, contributors role, or viewers role? So I just want to grant it a viewer role, and I'm going to click on add. So viewer roles only have access to view items. They don't have the ability, they don't have the privilege, that's the right word, to edit any item in my warehouse. They can only view. But unlike their main member and contributors roles, they can edit and they can also view my role. So that's just, let me just X that out. So let's switch back to my testing account. I'm just going to refresh this. just so you can see my fabric warehouse, the DSN space warehouse. So if I have this refresh, I go to workspace. Let me go to workspace. So you can see this is DSN space. Before this space was not here. So this is DSN space. So let's quickly implement a dynamic data masking so we can be using the testing account to see the results. I think I'm having so moving forward, let's switch back to this is my warehouse. I executed this query. I extracted, we could see all the tables in our data. And on my SQL, my SQL SQL, so we are going to be running the query. So the code to run that query is what I'm going to be typing out right now. I'm going to say alter table. So for alter table, I'm going to reference my alter table. I'm going to reference this table. So I'm going to say alter table customers. This is the table I want to alter. And I'm going to say, first of all, you reference the table. So I'm going to say alter column, alter this column. Which column do I want to alter? So I want to alter the gender column. So I'm going to switch back here. I'm going to say alter the gender column. Let's put it in open bracket. So alter the gender column. I'm going to say add matched with function. I'm going to open my bracket for function. Add matched with function equals to. So we are working first with the default type of marks. So the function is going to be equals to what? It's going to be equals to default. I'm just going to write that out. Default. Just to save time, I'll just do copy and paste. So I'm going to say default, open and close my bracket. I'm going to close my bracket. So what this function is trying to say is this: alter my table, which is my customers table, alter the column. So this column, I'm specifying which column should I alter. So after altering the table customers, alter the column. So I'm altering the gender column and I've add marks to this gender column. So my mark, the first type of marks we are going to be looking at is going to be the default type of marking, like I had earlier taught during the slide. I'm just going to quickly have this executed and we are going to see, let's run this. So this has been executed. So if I run this on my customer, that's my admin window. Remember, I have admin and testing account. So if I run this on my admin window, you can see everything. You can see, oh, that's this because of my role. I am the admin. So I can see every information, whether a mask has been applied or not, whether a row level security has applied or not, or whether a column level security has been applied, so I can see everything in this window. So I'm going to switch back to my fabric, my testing account. I'm going to have this workspace selected. And on my workspace, I'm going to go to, this is my warehouse. So no, the one to select. So I'm going to go to my DSN warehouse. So on my DSN warehouse, if I should use the drop down on my table, you see this customer table. This customer table was not created in the testing account, right? It was created in my admin account. So I just had to share access to this testing account. So I'm just going to quickly say new query. So let's write this out. Select hash trick from customers. I'm just going to reference my customers, have this executed. So if I have this executed, you're going to see that I have applied a max to this gender column. The data itself doesn't change in the database. So you could see that I have applied a max to this column. So is that clear? I just want to know people are following me because I also have questions for you at the end of this session. So I just want to know people are following because I also have a question at the end of the session. So this is the first type of marks we have seen. And I think I can categorically write it out here. So let's say default. So this is the first type of marks we are working with. So you can see that the gender column has been maxed. And I can't even tell. Another thing is, I cannot tell if Alice Johnson is a female or male. I can't tell. I cannot also tell if Charlie Brown is a female gender or a male gender. So I can't tell any of that. So that's also what your dynamic data marking helps you with. So I had earlier said that any user that is an admin, member, or contributor will have the permission to view unmasked data. So the role I had assigned my testing account was a viewer role. So if I had assigned my testing account, either a contributor role or a member role, he or she would have seen my masked data. So the only role that cannot unmask your data is the viewer role. So this is the first type of masking we have worked with. Yes, so you are following praise. Awesome that you are following. So the next type of masking we want to see a different type of masking. We also want to apply it. Now that you have seen some differences here for agenda view, you can see that a default mask replaces the gender columns with what? XX. So now you can, like I said, you can no longer tell what this particular gender is, whether this users is a male or a female. So the next type of masking we want to see, still under default, we are going to see the date field and we're also going to see the base date. So I have base date here, which is the date field, and another type of marks that we're also going to see is going to be the emails. So let's move quickly to let me switch back. Let me switch back to my admin and see the next one to work with. So this was when I was testing. So I'm just going to, just to save time, I'm just going to copy this. Just going to, oh no, Control Z. I want to copy this to save time. Control C, Control V. So the next column we want to alter the date column. So we want to alter this column. I can actually X this out. So even if I X it out, I still have it in my schema. You can actually also rename your schemas if you want to, but I won't be doing that. So I'm going to say the next type of data I want to see is going to be bed dates, which is a date column, bed dates. So I'm going to switch back to my query view and I'm going to change from gender, from gender, I'm going to switch it to bed date. Remember, we are working on data types. The first default works on the different data types. So the first data type was a string data type like text. So the second data type we are going to be working with is a date data type. So with this date data type, I'm going to switch. With this date data type, I'm going to be executing this query. So if I have this executed, Just if it's since I have these two of them, so I instead of use like new SQL, creating new SQL. So I think I just want to write everything under, and I'm just going to have this executed. So I have this highlighted, and I'm going to execute this by clicking on run. So this has been executed. So even if I switch back to this window, I cannot see that I have added a marks to this window. I can only see them. I can only see the output result of my testing account. So let's switch back to my testing account. So this is my admin user. So let's switch back to my testing account. So this is my testing account. So on my testing account, I'm going to still have this executed. And if I have this run, you're going to see on my database. So let's switch back to my admin. My admin has 1985 03 15. That is the first one. So on my, after adding in marks, the output result is 19000101. That's January, 1st of January 1900. So you could see it has applied 00, it has applied this same format to all the data itself. So you don't want people to see, the birth date of your employees. So you just said, okay, let me mark this data because you want someone, an external user, to work with this. Or you don't want people to have to see, you are trying to limit, limit the exposure of this, you are trying to limit the exposure of the sensitive data. So you try to mask your data with, oh, I want to mask my data with this feature. I don't want people to see my employees' birth date. I don't want them to see my employees' credit card and so on and so forth. So you try to mask it with this feature. So another interesting thing is that for the date field year, the date field return everything to 1st of January. So this gives us a quick view of how the default maxing rules works for both text fields and date fields. So this is how it works for date fields. It returns the same birth date, but on my admin portal, it doesn't change the data itself in the database. The database is not changed, but it's only restricting access to other people, is only restricting access to people you don't want to share this information with. So we have seen how the default data works for both for the text field and also for the gender field. So the next type of marks you're going to be working with, I think I'm just going to copy and paste. We're going to be working with an email type of mark. So let's switch back to my admin view. And for the email, I'm just going to copy and I'm going to paste, you know. So I'm just going to copy alter table customers just to save time, instead of writing them out. So I'm going to say alter table customers, still my same table, alter column. So what do I have on my column? My column is email, capital E. So I'm going to change this to email. Okay, I'm having it here, email. And this is no longer a default function. So this is no longer a default function. What we want to apply here is a built-in email marks. So where you can only view the first address and the ending.com suffix. So for me to apply that, I'm no longer going to be referencing default. So I'm going to reference email. In this place of default, I'm going to change default to email. So I'm going to change default to email. So if I have this executed, I cannot view any. So even if I switch to already, if I switch to my admin role, I cannot actually see any changes in this data because I am the admin. I have the admin privilege. So on my viewer, on my testing account, I'm going to switch to my testing account. So let's see what we have on the email column. So you could see it's only revealing the first letter of your name. So you can't even tell who has the emails. You can't even tell who has this email. So it's only revealing the first letter of your name. I think another thing, let's apply it in this is a real world application. So if you notice that whenever banks send you credit alert, if you are really familiar with Zenith Bank, they marked your account number. So let's bring it down. Real world application, real world scenario. Your account number is usually marked. I don't know if you see XXXXX, something like that. So this is like they try to limit exposure. They try to limit access for you to be able to view this data. They try to reduce the number of users to view this data. So having said that, we have seen how we have implemented for emails. So emails is different from gender. So for text, you completely doesn't even know who is the gender. So for birth date, you completely does not know what everything returns a default result in. You could see how it returns a default result. Everything is XXX. This one is default date for you. But for the emails return the first letter of your email address and the prefix is X and it now return the at suffix.com. That's what it returns, the at suffix.com. Everything is X out. So I hope it's actually a very interesting session and I hope you are learning a lot. So let me just see on the chat that you are learning a lot. So that just needs some, just want you to know that you are following. And here, you have access to the data for the dynamic data masking and for the other would be working with. So thank you very much, Michelle, for that interesting. So let's moving forward. We are also going to look at another type of masking we are going to be looking at. We are going to be looking at we are going to be looking at a random type of masking. So remember that all this masking is applied in the admin role. So if you try to query this data as an admin, you will see everything. So please pay attention to that. You will see everything. But it's only when you release this data to other people. Okay, I could say, okay, work on this data for me. And I try to mask this data. I don't want this person to have access to this. I don't want this person to have access to this. So that is how to prevent your data from users having privileged information access to your data. So another type of dynamic data masking we'll be working with is going to be random dynamic data masking. Sorry that I have a lot. I'm just going to say, okay, just alphabet type it out. Alter table customers. So I'm going to say alter column. So when you alter your table, alter your column and specify the column you want to alter. So in this random data masking, so I'm going to alter let's go to let's see what I have in my table. So I want to alter my salary column. That's the column. I don't want people to see salaries of my employees. I don't want them to compare the salaries in my department with other departments. So because I want to give out this data, so I'm going to say alter column. I was salary in capital letter. So what it is case sensitive. I can't bring in small letters. So what I have here has to be there. So I'm going to say salary. I'm going to say salary. So for salary, I'm going to say add masked with function, add masked. I like keeping everything in cap. I'm going to open my bracket, add masked with function equals to. So for this function, we are going to be like the name implies, we're going to, okay, I think we are going to be working with a random data masking. So for a random data masking, this way you assign any numeric type to mask your data. Oh, I want you to start from 50,000 to 100,000, just random values. So I'm going to say random open my bracket. So for random, I'm going to open my bracket and say, I want you to start from 20,000, comma, to let's say 100,000, 1, 2, 3 zeros. So I'm just going to close my bracket and I'm going to close this. I'm closing the bracket of this function. So this bracket closes the bracket of this function. So my random, you could see this was not open. I didn't have anything inside the bracket. So these ones are just optionals. So for this one is a range. I am assigning a value. I would say max from 20,000 to 100,000. I should have just said 50,000, but just let's leave it like that. So I'm just going to apply a semicolon at the end there because there is some database like MySQL. If you don't apply a semicolon at the end, your query won't be executed. Yeah, so our query has been executed. Let's go to switch back to my testing account. I'm just going to call this, let's say random, and we're going to be looking. I'm going to quickly have this selected. I'm going to paste this. So let's execute this. So that was my salary column. So you could see that my salary column has been altered. Oh, you could be so, oh, more, this company that paying, look at the salary they're paying this particular department. I'm so happy. See how much they are making. You don't know that these particular salaries are actually maxed, and that's very funny. So data is actually a very interesting field. And even if you're just starting out in Fabric, just give it time, take it slow. You're going to get everything. You don't need to grab all the concepts. You don't need to grab all the functions. So step by step, consistency, put something out there. Day one, I'm learning this. Day two, I'm learning this. And definitely you will get there. Okay, so I think that do I still have to touch the last part of it, which is a forecast random, which is forecast sampling. So for forecast, let me just copy this. No. Just want to hurry up because I have Control C. I'm going to say Control V. So which our we want to max our phone number. So you can see on I have a phone number here. So I want to max this phone. I'm going to switch back to phone, change the columns. Any column you are masking, change the columns, recognize the table, add max with functions. So there is not going to be a random function. It's going to be changed to partial, not focused, rather. It's going to be changed to partial data masking. So what does partial data masking does? It exposes the first and last letters and add a custom padding in the middle. So we're also going to be seeing that practically. So I'm going to say partial. I'm going to say just three, comma. So I'm just going to say XXX, 3, comma, XXXX. Just going to put this X in double quotes. And I'm going to leave it at 0. So what does this mean? It means start from, so this is going to turn my phone number. Starting from 5, so we are starting from 3. So starting from these 3, let's switch back to here. So starting from my digits, 1, 2, 3. So start from 1, this one, and max it. So let's just look at it practically. So that's why I'm having 3 here. So 3 until 00. So it's asking me, what do you want me to max it with? Max it with either XXX, max it with either YY. Of course, XXX is common. So max it with XXX till the end. That's where we are applying 0. So let's quickly run this. switch back to my testing account. So it's not forecast. It is actually partial. Partial. So I'm going to, I have this highlighted. I'm going to paste this here. So when I paste this here, you are going to see that, you see it's starting from the third, phone number to the end. You can't see my phone number. So interestingly, we have seen how to apply masking. We have seen how to apply dynamic data masking to our text field, which was the first one we started out with, the default, which was the gender column. Under the default, we also had a date. We said, okay, let's see how a default dynamic data masking can be applied to a date. And applying to a date returns a default 1st January 1900. So that's what it returns. We've also applied a data masking to emails where it returns only the first letter of the email, and it has returned at suffix.com. We'll also apply another data masking where it returns to our salary column. You can see our salary column has been increased, and you could even be, should I say, this camouflage. You can say, oh, I'm going to tell how much I've been in this particular department. Let me switch to this particular department, and you don't know the real salary people in this department. So we have seen how to apply that. So another type of security we are going to be working with, a row level security and also a column level security. So for a row level security, let me switch back to my admin window. New SQL. So for my new SQL 4, we are going to start out with a column level security. So for my new SQL for a column level security, I'm going to say, I'm just going to be explaining a lot of terms just to save time. Time is far gone. So I'm going to say this is my column level security. In my column level security, I'm saying create view. So create view from this table, which is my customer table. I don't want to alter this table. So create a different view for me in this table. So when it creates view for us, we assign a name, view underscore customer as. So on this view tab, I only want my testing account to have access. I don't want it to have access to all the columns. I only want it to have access to product and amount columns. From which table we are referencing our original table, which is the customers table. So let's run this one by one. I'm just going to have this executed. And invalid name product. I have product, I have amount. So let's switch back to what we have on the table. Okay, I don't have this. So I'm going to change this to, let's say, name, or let's just say name and phone. I don't want it to have access to this predicate, so name and phone. So I'm just going to switch these to name, comma, phone. So switching back to name, comma, phone, let's have this executed. So this has been executed. So I'm saying, after creating a view, I'm creating a view just so I don't alter the original table. So after creating a view, I'm saying deny access. So deny access, to deny which access? Deny this, my original table, to my testing account. So my testing account cannot have access to my customer's account, but my testing account can only have access to my view that I created. So which is grant, select on my view table to my testing account. So let's just run this one after the other. Okay. So Microsoft.com, I didn't spell these words. I'm just going to add an O, Microsoft. MB test account, CAS small, Let me look at my testing account. Mock dot on cars mock dot on Microsoft.com. MB test account at cars mock dot. So let's have this executed again. So this has been executed. So I'm also saying deny my original favor, but grant this user only access to the view rules. But in these view rules, I don't want the user to see, all the tables. So you could see the user is only going to see name and phone. This my testing account would not see everything in this column. So that's a column level security. So you are working in a medical hospital and you don't want people to have access to medical records. So let's have this executed. So these are granted her permission only to this view. So if you want to add more columns for her to see, you could alter the view. That's just, you can alter and so on and so forth. So let's switch back to my testing account. I'm just going to use new query. So I'm going to say select high streak. I think I can just copy this first of all. So let's have this executed. You see, my permission to access this has been denied because I'm saying denied this account access. So let's switch back to and copy the view. So let's copy, this is my view DBO period view customer. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to change this to select high streak. I'm changing my original table to my customer table. So have this executed and it's going to return, you see, only name and phone because I gave you that privilege to select only name and phone. If I should say, yes, it's returning name and phone. So if I should say, okay, I want to quickly, I shouldn't have changed that. So let me just copy Control A, Control C, Control A, Control C. So if I should say, give me, let's say name. Okay, let's just say, give me for credit card. I think I have credit card. I hope the spelling is correct. So let's look at my testing account. Credit card. Okay, I have credit card correct. So let's see if I won't even have access to the credit card. You see, invalid column name credit card. So I have not been given access. So the next step of security, the last step of security we want to quickly look at is going to be the row level security. So I'm quickly going to execute new query on this. This is for dynamic. This is for, I can actually rename this, but I wouldn't have the time. I'd love to rename each of them to dynamic row level security, but you can actually also do that at your own space. So the next type of security we want to assign is going to be a row level security. So for row level security, I'm just going to be explaining to save us time. Before I moved on to a row level security, I think let me just paste this here for now. I'm going to be creating a table for a row level security because I can't use that data to implement what I have. So let me just quickly copy this. So on this, I'm going to say new query. I'm going to paste this. So for my new query, I'm creating a schema sales table. So this schema is a default schema, DBO. So you're going to be seeing another type of schema in this table. So this particular data cannot be shared because this is a very sensitive sales rep ID. So you can see this is my testing account. This is my user account. I'm going to have everything highlighted and I'm going to have this executed. Oh, so cells, I didn't put this, so that's why I'm having that error. So it's actually sales. So what I'm going to do, sales dot. Okay, so let me just add S, I think. So let's, because I didn't add S to that, so let me just run this again. So now it has been executed. So let's quickly just see what we have on our columns. So I'm going to say select high streak quickly from, you have to reference your schema. So my schema here is sales. Is this particular sales table? So this one was incorrect. So I'm going to say sales period. What do I have on my table? I quickly have, oh, I have to rephrase it for that to reflect. So let's switch back to, I think, query 6. I can just X all this out just so it was, table was orders table. So period, orders table. So period, orders table. So I'm just going to have this executed. So these are the information, my sales ID, my sales rep, product, amount, and my date. So I want to restrict row level access to a particular row. I don't want you to see data in my own department. I want you to only have access of data only to finance department. You want to have data only to account and to sales department only. Is this, I have to assign a row. So you could see that my sales rep table years is my account. This is my developer's account dominated in this field. So they have to be real people in your account, real roles in your account. So I'm going to switch back here. Where did I have my role level security? I'm going to start out by saying I want you to create a security. So I'm going to have this executed. I should run everything I want, but let's do it one by one. So I'm going to say create function. This is a security function that I'm creating. So return table with schema binding. This schema binding, it means I don't want anybody to change or alter any security in this table. So another thing you could see, I'm referencing the sales rep. So it's the sales rep column that I'm referencing. Either are there roles? These are people in my department. Is it the sales department, the admin department, and so on and so forth? So you can also say return where sales rep is equals to username. So if you're familiar with Microsoft Entra ID, you'll be familiar with this. So I'm saying return where at sales rep is equals to username, or at username is equals to my account. This is my admin role. So I am the admin. I'm the admin establishing this security. So if the username is not my name, don't return the roles. I'm limiting access. Sales departments can only see data for sales. Finance departments can only see data for finance, and so on and so forth. So whereas sales rep is equals to, you only can only see data for your own user name, or username is equals to my username. So I'm just going to have this executed. I'm going to run this successfully. This is what I'm establishing I'm creating a security policy function. So with states on, we also have with states off. So if time permits, I'm also going to be trying to talk about this. So I'm also adding a filter. Your role level security, you add filter. So in some cases, you see, I don't know if you have written SQL, it's something like, oh, case, you say something like when statements, when this is this. So I'm adding a filter to this table, or create security policy filter on sales rep. So I'm creating a security filter on this table. So with state is equals on and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to have this executed and everything is run successfully. Now let's switch back to this. Let's switch back to, if I should have this executed, you still see this data. So let's run this. I am the admin, so I can see all the sales rep. So let's switch back to my testing account. And for my testing account, you see that was refreshing. I can't refresh this data. You see, I don't have access to do that. So news query. So I'm going to say select. Can I just quickly copy this to save file? So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to say paste this. So, oh no, no, no. Undo. I want to copy this. Control A, Control C. Come here and I'm going to paste. So I have this highlight. I don't even need to highlight because it's the only query that I want to execute. So if I have this executed, you are going to see that it's only returning MB test account. It's only returning people in this department. It is not returning people in my, it's like, let's say I had more than 5 sales rep. Each of these sales rep is only returning for their own roles. Oh, finance department, this is your own columns. The only rows you see is the rows in your data. You don't have access to see other people role. So this is where your role level security comes in. And I hope that's understood. And quickly, just to save time, it's actually a recorded session. So if you have any question, you can always reach out. So in few minutes, let's see in what we can do in few minutes. Let's work with Apache Spark. So at the end of the session, I would love to take questions. So we are going to work with Apache Spark in Power BI. So now what is Apache Spark in Power BI? So Apache Spark is the data compute engine in your data. So it processes large volumes of data in your warehouse. It can either be in your lake house. So we are going to be in your lake house rather. So we are going to be switching back to our lake house. So let me switch back to my admin role. So let me search for my lake house. I don't want to create a new lake house. So this is my lake house. So I'm going to be using the previously existing lake house. It's just for us to create a It's just for us to create a folder. So in my lakehouse, this is my menu. You're familiar with workspaces in Fabric. So this is my lakehouse. We don't need to create a new lakehouse. We're still going to be referencing the previous lakehouse. So I don't want it to load any of this data. I'm quickly going to say new folder. So I want it to create a new folder for me. So I'm going to say my orders table. On my orders table, I want to upload data to my orders table. So my orders table, I have data in 3 folders. So I'm going to click on upload folder. So when I click on upload folder, you should be familiar with the interface. You already have this pop-up. So I'm going to quickly browse. So when I browse, I'm going to go to I think I have no. So I'm going to copy my orders table, my orders folders. So it's going to ask me, do you trust? I said, yes, trust this website and upload this data. Sorry that I'm a bit fast. We just have a few minutes left. So I'm going to say upload. So my data is going to be uploaded now. You could see tick, tick, tick. So I'm just going to X this out. When I X that out, you can see that if I use this drop down, this is my orders table. So these are the data in my table. So instead of creating a subfolder, I wouldn't have even created a subfolder because I'm uploading data from a folder, but it still doesn't matter. So you already know how to see your data. So this is a view of my data. So this is how my data looks like 2019, 2020, 2021. So quickly we are going to open a notebook. So I'm going to open either an existing notebook. I want to open a new notebook for this data. So when a new notebook is opened, you are going to You can either assign, you see that I have notebook to it, means I already previously have another notebook open in this data. So you are going to see the headers, edit, AI tools, and so on. This is to save as, download, settings, and so on and so forth. So this is the environment you're going to be working with. So for Spark, like I said, we are working with Apache Spark. And what does, when we talk of Apache Spark, so I say that in Apache Spark, it is a data, is a powerful tool, like a powerful tool, like a software. It reads your data, clean your data, and analyzes your data to be fast. So it has different programming tools. It is embedded with different programming tools. It can be used to control different programs. You can see we have Python, we have T-SQL, we have Spark R, Spark SQL, Spark Scala. So we also have BySpark Python. So for BySpark Spark Python, when you use Spark with Python, you use a special interface called BySpark. So we're also going to be seeing a lot of things interestingly. So this is my interface. So my interface, you can see I have welcome to your new notebook and so on and so forth. So for my interface, I can actually create a markdown, so which I'm going to convert this to a markdown that's still loading. So welcome to use a new data interface. I can choose to edit this markdown. I can choose to call my markdown, let's say sales order data exploration. I'm going to say sales order data exploration. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So I'm just going to remove the other feature that I'm just going to leave it at that. So we're going to be exploring sales order feature. So another thing is quickly, you can actually freeze your data. Okay, while working, I'm also going to be showing a lot of interesting feature. So I'm going to say, I'm going to be creating a data frame in this table. So for that, if I overrun, I can just, you see code, you want to add a new cell, or do you still want to use a markdown? I'm going to add a new code to this data. So if I add a new code to this data, before we do that, before we add in, you could see that this is my lake house. So on my lake house, I have tables and I have files. So these are tables. So I have files. So files, I already, in our first class, we talked about that these are not, when they're in tabular format, to be in a table. So on my orders table, I want to I want to select my orders table quickly. So selecting my orders table, you say I have 2019, 2020, 2021. Sorry that I'm a bit fast, is a recorded session. So if I should use these three ellipses, you are going to see load data. It's asking us two options. Do you want to load your data in Spark, or do you want to load your data in Pandas? So you also see copy your data part, your file part, your APL part, and so on and so forth. So we are going to load our data in Spark. So you could see that I'm just going to collapse this. Our data has been loaded in Spark. So you could see that Spark is actually different from Pandas. Pandas will read CSV and read and so on and so forth. It doesn't give you this header of true or false, but Spark is different. So for this Spark, you can see that this is my data. So I'm just going to quickly have this executed. Okay, this is actually taking some time, so we are just going to leave it at that to have this executed. So when so the first time you run Spark code, a Spark session is started. That's another thing I want you to know. So the first time executing this code, a Spark session is started, and it will take long. It's like just few seconds for this data to run. So the first thing I want you to observe is this. I want you to observe that these data headers are not descriptive. The data headers are not descriptive. So my row one should be my SO4 and so on and so forth. So we are going to change this data. We are also going to query this data. So to run, I'm just going to have this copied. I'm just going to copy this to save time. And I can choose not to see this by saying don't display. So let's quickly overrun and add a new code. So just for us to make sure our column header descriptive, so I'm going to say false. I'm going to I'm going to I'm going to display that with false. So when I display that with false, let me just remove, should I display? I think I should display. Okay, let's say false. So when I say run false, you would see that display does not show you this in tabular format. So that's why you're not seeing it. So if I should say display, so if I should say display my div, if I should run that, you're going to see practical example that there is actually, yes, you can see that my column headers has been dropped. So you can see my headers has been dropped. So how do we optimize these column headers? How do we give our column headers a, how do we give our column headers a, a, a more descriptive columns? So for me to do that, I'm just going to structure the schema just quickly. I'm just going to structure the schema. So I'm going to switch back to, so I'm just going to copy just to save time. I'm also going to be explaining that. So I'm going to say, where's my code? So I'm just going to have this executed. So we are trying to make our column header descriptive. So we are going to say this is a library from Spark, by Spark rather, SQL type. So we're referencing SQL type, import, *, order schema, structure type, the fields. So these are our column headers. So give order table string, integers, and so on. And we are referencing our order schema, that's spark.read.format CSV. So this is the file format, period schema. So you're going to refer to the schema, and I'm going to say display. So when I say display, let's just quickly run this, and you're going to see my output results. Oh, okay, my file path is not found. So was it capitalized orders? So I'm going to change this to capital letter. So I think that's why it wasn't executed. Order schema. So let me go switch back here to my file path. So my file path. So let me just copy my file path. And I'm copying file path for only, let me expand this. I want to copy for only 2019. So copy file path. So let me replace it with this. So this is going to be slash, I'm going to reference my orders table. Orders 2019 period CSV. So this should run. So let's have this executed again. Okay, it's replicating because I created a folder here. So you could see that this is why you could see that my table, my column headers now are now descriptive. My column headers are now descriptive. So we can just maybe type a simple function. I can just say, oh, customers equals to, let's print for customers. Let's see count of customers. So I can say count of customers instead of typing it out. count of customers name, comma, and I'm going to say emails. I want to see for customers and I want to see their email address. So I'm going to say customers, comma, and I'm going to say email. So I'm going to close the square bracket and I'm going to say print. Print is going to be customers period count. Give me the count of my customers, open my bracket. I'm going to reference print customers period distinct. So I need a digital number. So for period count, distinct count. So I want a distinct count. So what I want it to display is going to be, just give me like display is going to be in a tabular format. And I'm going to say distinct, open and close my bracket. So let's quickly run this. Let's quickly have this executed. So you can see it's telling us that what we want, we are selecting only the columns we want to see, customers name and email. So print is telling me, give me a count of customers and also give me a distinct count of customers. So this is count of customers and this is a distinct count of customers. So the next one is displaying it in a tabular form. So you can as well go ahead to maybe use your import statement, use your select statement, and so on and so forth. You could use your group by, and so on and so forth. So there's another thing I want us to see. I want us to notice that when we were giving this, when we were writing this query, we're writing this *, we are signifying only that we want you to change the column headers of 2019. That's only what we want you to do. So what if we want it to change? You know, we are only working with 2019. So what if we want it to change column headers for 2020, 2020, 2021. So this is where we simply change from 2019 and we impute an *. So that's how to work with, you can train your data models in Lakehouse using your notebooks. And so this is how to work with your tables, your columns in a Lakehouse. So I don't know if you have any question. You can also work with tables. You can switch on, you can also switch. So in this my menu, you can load your data to Spark, load your data to Spark. You can also switch from my environment. You can see I'm using a default view. This is my default environment. You can change the environment and so on. So you can change to any language of your type. Do you want to work with Python? Do you want to work with TSQL? Do you want to work with Scala and so on and so forth? So I just want to leave the room for questions. You can train your data model using Fabric notebook. So I don't even have any question. So we take questions. Okay, let me quickly check the chat. So in case I have question. Okay, so I think is understood. I've done a quick recap. You have seen how to work with Apache Spark in Microsoft Fabric. You have also seen how to implement security in Microsoft Fabric. So I don't even have any question for me. Oh, of course, you have access to the video. You also have access, you have access to the others data. So I could also give an assessment to make sure you're following. I could also say group by your table and so on. Let me take this out and so on and so forth. So I don't know if you have any other question. So yeah, Israel, you have access to that. So the first day of recording, that was on Monday. You have access to one of each of them. You have access to the recording that was on Monday. Oh yeah, thank you very much. Zoom chat didn't allow me to create. Yeah, okay. Zoom chat. I think we're going to figure that out if Zoom chat didn't allow you to create. You don't create a Fabric account. Is you don't create Fabric. That the one that gives you an account. You don't create. So sorry about that. We can speak further on the Telegram platform. So thank you very much for. Yes, of course, Fabric does visualization. We did that. Let me quickly switch back to my workspace. We did visualization. That was on Monday. For people that were with us on Monday, they notice that we visualize our data. So Fabric is an end-to-end analytic platform. Your is an end-to-end analytic platform. So you can see this is where we visualize our data. I can also click on edit. I can select any visual I want. You see, so let me put this in a focus mode for better view. So any visual I want, any table format, and so on and so forth. So this is how awesome. So it's very awesome. So Fabric is an end-to-end analytics solution. Your data science, data integration, data engineering, Power BI, business analytics, data science, and so on.
Great delivery. Thank you so much, Imbotidem, for doing this for us. Please confirm you can hear me in the chat room. Let's appreciate Imbotidem. This has been an awesome 2 hours. Yeah, it's 12:50 already. So yeah, we are just 10 minutes away from 1 p.m., which makes it 2 hours that we've been on this call. Yeah, it's been an interesting one. It's been an enlightening one. And yeah, this is actually packed. It's packed. So there's a need for us to come back to this. I mean, we're going to be making the recording available. So you can always fall back on the session recording because this is a whole lot to take in a very few minutes. Yeah, so I'm going to be bringing up my screen now, and just have a few information to share with us, and we call it a day. So the next class would be on Friday, same time, 11 a.m. So we'll come in again to learn new things, to pick up new skills. Yeah, so we're done already with the Q&A. So this is the QR code again to register for the DSN 2025 Freya Classes physical meetup. So once you click on the link, you will see the DSN community that is available for now, that's actually available for now, that are interested in hosting a physical meetup. So you can select one that is close by to you. And we've been sharing the link in the chat, I mean, since the session started. So please make sure to fill this form as soon as possible. And then you can also share with your other committee members who are not on this call. And yes, so the free classes hackathon and project participation is also live. I mean, yeah, we can start registering for it. And once we are done with the end-to-end data analytics with Microsoft Fabric, we are going to be kickstarting our hackathon and project participation immediately. Yeah, I told you it's a journey. So we are ending our virtual live session for Freya Classes 2025 this week, and we are going to be kickstarting immediately the hackathon and project participation. And the reason why we are doing this is because it's not just about learning. There's a need for us to practicalize, I mean, what we've been learning as a form of theory. Yeah. So this is the attendance link. We'll also be sharing this in the chat since we began the session. Make sure that you fill your attendance because this is the evidence that you actually attended this class. And if you remember, I spoke about certificate of participation that will issue out to our committee members at the end of the year. This is the only way we'll be able to know you've been an active community member through the year. So we also like to, I mean, hear from you. How has it been? What are the things we can improve on in terms of our delivery? Please, this form is actually anonymous. I keep repeating it. So it means that you can share with us your honest opinion, and then we can take your suggestions as a feedback, and we are going to improve on our delivery. Yeah, so closing remark. Thank you so much, everyone, for dialing in again. It's always a pleasure hosting you, and I hope to see you again on Friday, same time, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we wrap up with end-to-end data analytics with Microsoft Fabrics. Yeah, so we're going to be wrapping up end-to-end data analytics with Microsoft Fabrics, and that will be all for Free Eye Classes virtual live session for this year 2025. Thank you so much for dialing in once again. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. See you on Friday.